Imagine this. You've just stepped out of someone's life and yet your presence lingers in their mind. They can't stop thinking about you, wondering about your next move, and secretly hoping to have you back in their world. What if I told you that there is a way to make this happen? A way to make someone feel your absence so deeply that they start missing you, not just superficially, but on a level they can't ignore. Today, we're diving into the psychology of attraction, relationships, and influence, but not the traditional kind you've heard before. No, this is different. We're going to examine it from a critical lens rooted in the red pill perspective, a counter-narrative that challenges conventional thinking. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll understand the exact steps to make someone miss you the right way. But more importantly, the final revelation I'll share will not only surprise you, it will shift the way you approach all your relationships. Before we jump in, take a moment to subscribe to this channel, Red Pill Feminina. If you're ready to discover life-changing truths about relationships, this is the place for you. Like this video, comment your thoughts as we go along, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Let's dive in. The first thing you need to understand about making someone miss you is this. It doesn't happen by accident. Missing someone is a psychological process, deeply tied to perception, emotional investment, and most importantly, absence. Yes, absence. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think absence is about silence, cutting someone off, disappearing, or giving them the infamous cold shoulder. While those tactics may work in the short term, they often backfire, leaving you forgotten rather than missed. The red pill perspective tells us that to truly make someone feel your absence, you must first make your presence unforgettable. Think about this for a moment. When was the last time you felt a deep sense of loss for something ordinary or forgettable? Probably never. People miss what stands out. They miss what they feel they can't easily replace. In his book, The Rational Male, Rollo Tomassi argues that relationships are built on the dynamics of value and exchange. According to him, the person who provides more perceived value in a relationship often holds the upper hand. So, if you want someone to miss you, you need to elevate your value to the point where your absence creates a void they can't fill. But how do you do this? First, focus on emotional impact. People don't miss people. They miss how those people made them feel. Did you make them laugh? Did you challenge their thinking? Did you inspire them to be better? These are the moments that stay etched in someone's mind, replaying like a favorite song long after you've left. Next, understand the importance of creating positive tension. This is where we tap into a critical concept from Esther Perel's Mating in Captivity. She explains that the key to maintaining desire in any relationship is balancing closeness with mystery. When someone feels they know everything about you, there's no room for intrigue. To make someone miss you, you must master the art of giving without overgiving. Show them enough to create connection, but hold back just enough to spark curiosity. Now, let's talk about independence. One of the greatest mistakes people make when trying to make someone miss them is coming across as needy or desperate for attention. This approach doesn't create longing, it creates avoidance. People are naturally drawn to confidence and independence. When you prioritize your own life, goals, and passions, you become magnetic. Why? Because independence signals value. And value, as we've already discussed, is the foundation of what makes someone irreplaceable. Ask yourself this. Have you been giving too much of yourself in your relationships? Have you been too available, too predictable, or too eager to please? If so, it's time to shift the dynamic. Start prioritizing yourself. Invest in your growth, your health, and your dreams. When you do this, something fascinating happens. Not only do you become more attractive, but the people around you begin to take notice. They start wondering, why isn't this person chasing me? What's changed? Have I been missing out on someone extraordinary? This brings us to another critical strategy, scarcity. In Robert Greene's The Art of Seduction, he emphasizes the power of becoming a scarce resource. People desire what they can't have, and they value what feels rare. If you're constantly available, you lose your aura of mystery and desirability. To truly make someone miss you, you must create moments of absence strategically. This doesn't mean playing games or manipulating others. It means setting boundaries, respecting your time, and showing that your presence is a privilege, not a guarantee. But here's the twist that most people overlook. Scarcity alone isn't enough. If your absence isn't paired with meaningful memories of your presence, it won't have the desired effect. you need to plant seeds of connection before you step away. Think of it like this. Your presence is the foundation, and your absence is the reinforcement. Together, they create a powerful dynamic that keeps you in someone's mind long after you're gone. If you're watching this and thinking, "This sounds easier said than done," you're absolutely right. This requires intentionality, self-awareness, and a willingness to challenge traditional approaches to relationships. But the rewards? They're unmatched. If you've watched this far, tell me in the comments, what's the most unforgettable thing someone has done for you? Or better yet, what's the one thing you've done that left a lasting impression on someone else? I'd love to hear your stories. To fully master the art of making someone miss you, we need to delve deeper into the psychological and emotional underpinnings of human connection. In the first part, we explored the foundation, emotional impact, independence, and scarcity. Now it's time to uncover the next layer, how to create a sense of longing that goes beyond the surface. One of the most powerful tools at your disposal is contrast. To understand this, think about the dynamics of light and shadow in a painting. The brighter the light, the darker the shadow appears. In relationships, this means that moments of joy and connection become more potent when juxtaposed with moments of absence. Think back to your own experiences. Have you ever had a friend or partner whose presence felt magnetic, almost electric? Now imagine how their absence felt. Did it leave a void, a craving for that same spark? That's the power of contrast. And the best part? You can create it intentionally. Begin by becoming highly attuned to the moments you share with others. Are you fully present during conversations, or are you distracted? Are you offering genuine attention, or are you merely going through the motions? People don't miss surface-level interactions. They miss the moments that felt real, deep, and meaningful. Take inspiration from authors like Gary Chapman, who, in The 5 Love Languages, emphasizes the importance of understanding how others receive love. If you can identify what makes someone feel valued, whether it's words of affirmation, acts of service, or quality time, you can tailor your interactions to leave a lasting impression. But here's the twist. Don't overdo it. This is where contrast comes in. After creating moments of connection, allow space for your absence to be felt. Resist the urge to over-communicate or overextend yourself. Instead, trust the seeds you've planted. Let's shift focus to a concept that many overlook: unpredictability. Humans are creatures of habit, and while routine can bring comfort, it rarely inspires desire. Desire thrives on anticipation, uncertainty, and surprise. As Esther Perel points out in Mating in Captivity, the most passionate relationships are those that strike a balance between security and excitement. To make someone miss you, you need to be unpredictable, not in a chaotic or unreliable way, but in a way that keeps them guessing. For example, instead of always responding immediately to messages, take your time. Instead of being available every weekend, schedule your own plans and prioritize your interests. These subtle shifts create a sense of intrigue, prompting the other person to wonder what you're up to and why you're not as predictable as before. Now let's talk about identity. One of the reasons people fail to create lasting impressions is that they lose themselves in relationships. They become so focused on pleasing others that they neglect their own needs, interests, and individuality. This is a recipe for invisibility. To make someone miss you, you must first be someone worth missing. This means cultivating your passions, pursuing your goals, and becoming the best version of yourself. Not for anyone else, but for you. When you're deeply invested in your own life, you radiate confidence and self-assuredness. This is the kind of energy that others find irresistible. A great example of this principle is explored in Mark Manson's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F***. He argues that people are drawn to those who prioritize their own values and are unapologetically authentic. When you stop seeking validation from others and start living for yourself, you naturally become more attractive and more likely to be missed when you're gone. Here's a thought experiment for you. Imagine the version of yourself that you admire most. What does this version of you do differently? How do they carry themselves, and what kind of energy do they bring to relationships? Now ask yourself, are you embodying that version of yourself today? If not, what's stopping you? This brings us to the final, and perhaps most important piece of the puzzle: purpose. People are drawn to those who have a sense of direction, ambition, and purpose. When you're deeply passionate about something, it shows in everything you do. It gives you an air of confidence, focus, and resilience that others can't help but admire. When you live with purpose, your presence becomes inspiring, and your absence becomes noticeable. People start to miss the energy you bring, the insights you share, and the example you set. If you're still watching, tell me in the comments. What's your biggest goal right now? How are you living with purpose? Let's go even deeper into this journey of understanding how to make someone truly miss you. Now that we've laid the groundwork for creating emotional impact, utilizing scarcity, and cultivating an irresistible sense of identity and purpose, it's time to address a critical question. What happens when someone starts to feel your absence? What shifts within them that makes them yearn for your presence again? The answer lies in the concept of emotional resonance. Emotional resonance is the lingering feeling or impression you leave behind. It's not just about what you said or did, but how you made someone feel on a core emotional level. To create this resonance, you need to focus on moments of authenticity, those raw, genuine interactions that cut through superficiality and leave a lasting mark. Here's an example. Have you ever had a conversation with someone who truly listened to you? Not just heard your words, but really understood your emotions, fears, and dreams? How did that make you feel? Chances are, it created a deep sense of connection. Now imagine removing that connection. The absence of something that powerful is exactly what creates longing. In Attached by Amir Levine and Rachel Heller, the authors explore the psychology of attachment and the way emotional bonds are formed. They argue that people develop deep attachments to those who make them feel seen, valued, and safe. This is your edge. If you can be that person, the one who understands and supports others on a profound level, your absence will feel like an irreplaceable void. But there's a twist. To maintain this emotional resonance, you must also respect boundaries. Often, people make the mistake of smothering others with too much attention or trying to control the pace of a relationship. This doesn't create longing. It creates resentment. Instead, focus on being intentional with your actions. Be present when you're with someone, but don't overstay your welcome. Let them crave more of the energy and connection you provide. Another crucial element to making someone miss you is storytelling. Humans are naturally drawn to stories. They're how we make sense of the world, connect with others, and even form memories. If you want to leave a lasting impression, you need to become a storyteller of your own life. Let's take this further with a critical lens inspired by red pill analysis. Many traditional relationship narratives encourage people to mold themselves into what others want. But this approach is fundamentally flawed. Why? Because it strips you of authenticity, which is the core of meaningful connection. Instead of telling a story that conforms to someone else's expectations, focus on crafting a narrative that highlights your individuality, your strengths, and your growth. In The Rational Male, Rollo Tomassi explains the importance of framing in relationships. The person who controls the frame, or the perspective through which a relationship is viewed, often holds the power. By creating a compelling narrative about your life, goals, and values, you naturally draw others into your frame. They begin to see you not just as a part of their story, but as someone whose story they want to be part of. Ask yourself this: what story are you telling right now? Is it one of growth, purpose, and self-discovery? Or is it one of stagnation and dependency? If it's the latter, it's time to rewrite your narrative. And speaking of rewriting, let's talk about reinvention. One of the most effective ways to make someone miss you is to change and grow in your absence. People are naturally curious about what's new, different, and exciting. When you're out of sight, focus on self-improvement. Learn a new skill, start a project, or dive into a passion that excites you. When you do this, something fascinating happens. Not only do you become more interesting, but you also create a sense of mystery. The next time you interact with the person you want to miss you, they'll notice the changes. They'll see the growth and be drawn to the new version of you. This is what makes reinvention so powerful. It keeps you dynamic, intriguing, and unforgettable. Let's consider another layer: social proof. In Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini, he discusses how people are influenced by the actions and opinions of others. If you're thriving socially, building strong friendships, pursuing meaningful goals, and being celebrated by others, it naturally increases your perceived value. When people see that others admire and appreciate you, they're more likely to do the same. But let's be clear, this isn't about playing games or manipulating others. It's about showing up as your best self and allowing your value to speak for itself. The more you invest in your growth, your passions, and your relationships, the more magnetic you become. If you've watched this far, let me ask you, what's one thing you've done recently to reinvent yourself? How are you becoming the best version of who you want to be? Share your journey in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. Now, before we move on to the final segment, let me know if you're ready. We're going to uncover the ultimate secret to making someone miss you. And trust me, this one will change everything. Let's dive into the final and most transformative segment of this journey. Everything we've discussed so far, emotional resonance, contrast, unpredictability, reinvention, leads us to one undeniable truth. The ultimate way to make someone miss you is to master the art of detachment. Now, this doesn't mean cutting people off or becoming emotionally distant. True detachment is about letting go of the need for validation, approval, or control over how others perceive you. It's about finding fulfillment within yourself so deeply that your happiness is no longer tied to someone else's presence or absence. In Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher reflects on the power of inner strength and self-reliance. He writes, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This idea is central to mastering detachment. When you stop relying on others to fill your emotional gaps, you become emotionally self-sufficient, and this is one of the most attractive traits you can possess. Here's how this works in practice. Instead of focusing on how to make someone miss you, focus on how to create a life so fulfilling that whether they miss you or not becomes irrelevant. When you live with passion, pursue your goals relentlessly, and surround yourself with positive energy, people can't help but be drawn to you. They'll miss you not because you're trying to make them, but because your presence brings something extraordinary into their lives. Think about the people who have had the greatest impact on you. Were they needy, overly dependent, or constantly seeking attention? Or were they self-assured, inspiring, and deeply grounded? Chances are, it's the latter. This is the kind of energy you want to embody. Detachment also ties into one of the most critical concepts we've explored so far: scarcity. When you no longer chase after someone's attention or approval, you automatically create space. This space allows them to reflect on what you bring to their life. It's in this absence that they begin to feel your value. But let's take this one step further. To truly make someone miss you, you need to leave them with a lasting impression of your values, your energy, and your authenticity. In Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, he emphasizes that what gives life meaning is not material possessions or surface-level success, but the pursuit of purpose and the courage to live authentically. Ask yourself, what impression do I want to leave on the people I care about? Is it one of desperation and neediness, or one of strength, purpose, and inspiration? Let's circle back to a key idea from earlier: unpredictability. As we've discussed, desire thrives on anticipation and curiosity. Detachment amplifies this effect because it allows you to move freely, without being bound by someone else's expectations. It gives you the freedom to surprise, to evolve, and to show up in ways that are unexpected and exciting. Imagine this. You've been pursuing your passions, thriving in your own world, and radiating confidence. Then, when you reconnect with someone who hasn't seen you in a while, they're struck by your growth. They realize that while they were stagnant, you were moving forward. This is the moment they start to miss you, not just for who you were, but for who you've become. And here's the kicker. The final secret to making someone miss you is to become irreplaceable. When you live with purpose, pursue growth, and create meaningful connections, you offer something that no one else can replicate. This isn't about competing with others. It's about becoming the fullest, truest version of yourself. In Atomic Habits by James Clear, he emphasizes the power of small, consistent changes in shaping our identities and achieving our goals. If you want to be irreplaceable, start by asking, what can I do today to grow, to inspire, and to leave a lasting impact? As we close this exploration, remember this: making someone miss you isn't about playing games or following a formula. It's about understanding human connection on a deeper level, building your own value, and living authentically. When you do this, missing you becomes inevitable, not because you forced it, but because you've created something truly unforgettable. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments. What's one thing you'll start doing today to live a more fulfilling, purpose-driven life? And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel Red Pill Feminina, leave a like, and share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Stay tuned for more thought-provoking insights, and check out the videos linked here to dive deeper into understanding the art of human connection and self-growth.